Money is one of the most powerful forces in human life, yet it is also one of the most misunderstood. People spend years working for it, chasing it, worrying about it, and sometimes losing themselves because of it, yet very few truly understand how it actually works in real life. Most believe that money is about intelligence, education, or technical knowledge. They think those who are rich must know something extraordinary, but when you observe closely, you begin to notice a different truth. Money is more about behavior than brilliance. It is more about habits and high intelligence. It is more about patience than speed. This is where the psychology of money begins. Two people can have the same opportunities, the same income, and the same resources, yet end up in completely different financial situations. One builds wealth slowly and gains control over life. The other struggles constantly, even if they earn more. The difference is not luck alone. It is the way they think about money. It is the way they react to situations. It is the choices they make when no one is watching. This book is about those differences. It explores why the rich think differently, why they behave differently, and why their approach to money often leads to long-term success while others remain stuck in cycles of earning and spending. This is not a book about shortcuts or overnight success. It is not about getting rich quickly, because in reality, quick money rarely stays. This is about understanding the deeper truth, that wealth is built through discipline, awareness, and consistency over time. It is about learning how emotions like fear, greed, ego, and impatience influence financial decisions, and how controlling these emotions can change everything. You will also discover that being rich and looking rich are two very different things, that real wealth is often invisible, and that financial freedom is not about luxury, but about control over your own life. The ideas in this book are simple but powerful. They are based on real-life patterns, not theories alone. They reflect how money behaves in the real world, where people are not always rational, and decisions are often emotional. If you understand these ideas and apply them with patience, your financial life can change, not instantly, but permanently, because at its core, money is not just about numbers. It is about how you think, how you behave, and how you choose to live your life. Chapter 1: Money is not just math, it is behavior. Most people grow up believing that money is a subject of numbers. They think it belongs to mathematics, formulas, calculations, and complex strategies. They assume that those who are rich must be experts in finance or highly educated in technical fields. But real life tells a very different story. Money is not just about how much you know. It is about how you behave. It is about what you do when you earn, what you do when you lose, what you do when you feel fear or excitement, what you do when no one is watching. This is where most people struggle, because human behavior is not always logical. People know what is right, yet they do the opposite. They know they should save, yet they spend. They know they should invest long-term, yet they chase quick gains. They know they should avoid debt, yet they fall into it again and again. This happens because money decisions are deeply emotional. Fear makes people sell at the worst time. Greed makes people take risks they do not understand. Ego makes people spend to impress others. Impatience makes people quit too early. The rich are not perfect, but they are more aware of these behaviors. They train themselves to stay calm when others panic. They learn to think long-term when others chase short-term excitement. They understand that controlling emotions is more valuable than predicting the market. One of the biggest myths is that more income automatically leads to wealth. In reality, income alone does not create wealth. Behavior does. There are people who earn small amounts, but still manage to save and grow their money. And there are people who earn large salaries, yet remain stuck in financial stress. The difference is not income level. The difference is discipline. The rich build habits that support wealth. They spend less than they earn. They save consistently. They invest with patience. They avoid unnecessary risks. These habits may seem simple, but they are not easy, because they require self-control. Self-control is the foundation of financial success. It means saying no when you feel like saying yes. It means waiting when you feel like rushing. It means staying consistent when results are slow. This is why many intelligent people fail with money, not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack behavioral discipline. On the other hand, many average individuals become financially successful because they follow simple rules consistently. Do not try to be perfect. They try to be steady. Another important aspect of behavior is perspective, how you see. Money shapes how you use it. If you see money as something to show status, you will spend it quickly. If you see money as a tool for freedom, you will protect and grow it. The rich often see money as a long-term asset, not a short-term reward. They understand that every financial decision has a future impact. They think ahead. They ask themselves not just what they want now, but what they want later. This shift in thinking changes everything. Instead of reacting emotionally, they respond thoughtfully. Instead of chasing trends, they follow principles. Instead of focusing on appearance, they focus on reality. This is the real psychology of money. It is not about being perfect. It is about being aware. When you understand your own behavior, you begin to make better decisions. When you control your impulses, you begin to build stability. When you stay patient, you begin to see growth. These small changes create big results. Example: a young employee starts earning his first income. He feels excited and wants to enjoy his success. He spends most of his salary on new clothes, expensive gadgets, and social outings. At the end of the month, he has nothing left. Another employee with the same income chooses a different path. He sets aside a portion of his salary. Before spending, he avoids unnecessary expenses. He begins to invest a small amount regularly. At first, there is no visible difference between them. Both live similar lives, but after a few years, the gap becomes clear. One continues to live paycheck to paycheck. The other has savings, investments, and growing financial security. Difference was not income. The difference was behavior. This is the foundation of everything that follows. If you can control how you behave with money, you can change your financial future, no matter where you start, no matter how much you earn. Because in the end, money is not just about math. It is about the choices you make every single day. Chapter 2. Wealth is what you do not see. Most people have a completely wrong picture of wealth. They imagine wealth as something visible: big houses, shining cars, branded clothes, luxury lifestyles. They believe that if someone looks rich, then they must be rich. But this belief creates one of the biggest financial illusions in the world. What you see is often spending, not wealth. Real wealth is invisible. It is the money that has not been spent. It is the savings sitting quietly. It is the investments growing in the background. It is the financial security that does not need to be shown. The rich understand this truth very clearly. They do not focus on looking rich. They focus on becoming financially strong. This is a mindset shift that changes everything, because when your goal is to look rich, you spend more. But when your goal is to be rich, you save and invest more. These two paths lead to completely different outcomes. The desire to show status is powerful. People want respect, attention, and recognition. They often use money to create that image. But the problem is simple. Every rupee used to impress others is a rupee that cannot build your future. The rich avoid this trap. Do not feel the need to prove their success through visible things. They understand that true success is private. It is the ability to live without financial stress. It is the ability to handle emergencies. It is the ability to make decisions without fear. This kind of wealth cannot always be seen, but it can always be felt. Another important idea is that expensive things do not always belong to wealthy people. Many people own luxury items through loans. They pay for them over many years. Sometimes they sacrifice their financial stability just to maintain an image. This creates pressure. Stress increases, freedom decreases. Rich usually avoid unnecessary debt for lifestyle purposes. They know that debt used for appearance is dangerous. It creates an illusion of success while weakening the foundation instead. They use money to build assets. Assets are things that grow in value or generate income. These can include businesses, investments, or property over time. These assets create real wealth, and interestingly, this wealth often remains invisible for a long time. This is why you cannot judge someone's financial status based on what you see. Someone driving a simple car may have strong investments and savings. Someone driving a luxury car may be struggling with debt. The difference is hidden. The middle class often falls into a cycle as income increases, spending increases. Even faster lifestyle keeps upgrading, expenses grow, savings remain low. This is known as lifestyle inflation. It feels like progress, but it is actually a trap, because no matter how much income grows, financial pressure continues. The rich break this cycle. When their income increases, they do not rush to upgrade everything. They increase their savings and investments. They keep their lifestyle controlled. This creates a gap between income and spending, and that gap becomes wealth over time. Another powerful concept is delayed gratification. This means choosing long-term benefits over short-term pleasure. It is not about avoiding enjoyment. It is about balance. The rich understand that temporary sacrifice can lead to permanent freedom. They are willing to wait, are willing to stay disciplined even when others are enjoying immediate rewards. Patience gives them an advantage, because while others are consuming, they are building over time. The results become visible, but by then the foundation has already been created quietly. Example: two colleagues start earning at the same time. One decides to upgrade his lifestyle quickly. He buys expensive clothes, changes his phone frequently, and takes loans for a car. People around him admire his lifestyle. The other colleague chooses a different approach. He keeps his expenses simple. He saves consistently and invests a portion of his income. In the early years, the first person appears more successful. He enjoys attention and recognition. The second person seems ordinary, but after several years, the situation changes. The first person is burdened with loans and financial pressure. The second person has built savings and investments that provide stability and opportunities. The truth becomes clear: wealth was never about what was visible. It was about what was quietly built over time. This is the psychology of money. If you focus on appearance, you may win attention, but if you focus on reality, you will build freedom. In the long run, freedom is far more valuable than attention. Chapter 3: Time is the most powerful tool. Most people underestimate the true power of time. They believe that wealth is created by earning more, working harder, or finding the perfect opportunity. They focus on quick results and fast success. They want to see immediate changes in their financial life. But the reality is very different. Time is the most powerful tool in building wealth. Not just time alone, but time combined with consistency, patience, and discipline. The rich understand this deeply. They know that money does not grow overnight. They know that real wealth is built slowly through repeated actions over long periods. This is where most people fail. They start with motivation, but lose patience. They expect quick returns. When they do not see results, they stop. This habit of starting and stopping destroys progress. Wealth is not about intensity. It is about consistency. Small actions repeated over time create powerful outcomes. Is the principle of compounding. Compounding means that your money begins to grow not only on your original amount, but also on the growth it has already created. At first, the progress feels slow, almost invisible. It may even feel useless, but with time the growth becomes faster and stronger. The problem is that most people give up before reaching that stage. They do not stay long enough to experience the real power of compounding. The rich think differently. They stay invested. They stay consistent. They trust the process even when results are not visible. They understand that time rewards patience. Another important idea is that starting early is more powerful than starting big. Many People delay investing because they think they need a large amount of money. They wait for the perfect moment, but the perfect moment rarely comes. Earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. Even small amounts can become large if given. Enough time. Delaying this process reduces its power because time once lost cannot be recovered. The rich respect time. They do not waste it chasing every new trend. They do not jump from one opportunity to another. They focus on long-term strategies. They understand that consistency over decades is more valuable than short bursts of success. Time also plays an important role in reducing risk. You invest for the long term. You give yourself the ability to recover from temporary losses. Short-term fluctuations become less important. Long-term growth becomes the focus. Create stability. People who think short-term often panic during market changes. They make emotional decisions. They buy high and sell low. People who think long-term remain calm. They understand that ups and downs are part of the journey. They do not react to every movement. They stay focused on the bigger picture. Another key aspect of time is patience. Is not just waiting. It is waiting with discipline. It is continuing to do the right thing even when results are slow. This is difficult because human nature wants quick rewards, but wealth does not follow human impatience. It follows natural growth. Just like a tree takes time to grow, money also needs time. You cannot force it. You can only support it with consistent effort. The rich accept this reality. They do not rush the process. They do not expect miracles. They trust time. Example: two friends decide to build their financial future. One starts investing a small amount regularly from a young age. He remains consistent for many years. He does not increase his investment significantly, but he never stops. Other friend delays investing. He focuses on spending and waits until he earns more money. After many years, he finally starts investing a larger amount. At first, it seems like the second friend will catch up quickly because he is investing more money. But over time, the difference becomes clear. The first friend ends up with greater wealth, not because he invested more money, but because he gave his money more time to grow. Time multiplied his efforts. The second friend realizes that lost time cannot be replaced, even with larger investments. This is the power of time. It rewards those who start early, stay consistent, and remain patient. It quietly builds wealth in the background, and in the end, it creates results that seem impossible in the beginning. If you understand this principle and apply it in your life, you do not need perfect strategies. You need discipline and time, because time is not just a factor in wealth creation. It is the foundation of it. Chapter 4: Freedom is the real goal. Most people believe money is meant to buy things. They think of comfort, luxury, status, and enjoyment. They imagine a life filled with expensive possessions and endless upgrades. But this understanding is incomplete. The real value of money is not what it can buy. The real value of money is the freedom it can create. Freedom is the ability to make choices without pressure. Freedom is the power to decide how you live, how you work, and how you spend your time. The rich understand this truth clearly. They do not chase money only for consumption. They build wealth to gain control over their lives. This changes how they use money. Instead of asking what they can buy, they ask what freedom they can create. Freedom from stress, freedom from dependency, freedom from situations they do not want to stay in. This is why financial independence becomes an important goal. Financial independence means you are not forced to work for survival. It means your basic needs are covered through your savings or investments. This does not mean you stop working. It means you choose your work instead of being trapped in it. This difference is powerful. When you have no financial safety, you are forced to accept any situation, even if it is harmful, stressful, or limiting. But when you have financial stability, you gain control. You can walk away from unhealthy environments. You can take risks that improve your future. You can invest in yourself without fear. This is the kind of power money can provide. Poor and middle class often use money differently. focus on immediate needs and short-term satisfaction. They spend most of what they earn. They remain dependent on continuous income. This creates a cycle: work to earn, spend to live. Repeat. There is little space for freedom. The rich break this cycle. They build systems where money starts working for them. They save, they invest, they create assets over time. These assets generate income. This reduces dependency on active work, and slowly freedom increases. Another important aspect of freedom is time. Time is the most valuable resource in life. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. Rich understand this connection between money and time. They use money to protect their time. They avoid unnecessary commitments. They focus on meaningful activities. They invest in things that save time and increase efficiency. They know that having control over time is a form of true wealth. Freedom also brings peace of mind. You are financially secure. You do not worry constantly about expenses. You do not fear unexpected situations as much. You feel more stable. This peace allows you to think clearly, and clear thinking leads to better decisions. It creates a positive cycle. Freedom leads to better choices. Better choices lead to more stability. More stability leads to greater freedom. This is how wealth grows beyond money. It becomes a source of control, confidence, and clarity. However, this does not happen automatically. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires the ability to delay immediate pleasures for long-term freedom. The rich are willing to make these trade-offs. They understand that temporary limitations can lead to permanent independence. They do not confuse comfort with freedom. Comfort can be purchased quickly. Freedom must be built slowly. This is an important distinction because many people increase their comfort but never achieve freedom. They earn more but also spend more. They upgrade their lifestyle but not their financial position. As a result, they remain dependent. True progress happens when income grows, but lifestyle remains controlled. The difference is invested. That difference becomes the foundation of freedom. Example: two individuals work in similar jobs. One spends most of his income on lifestyle upgrades. He buys expensive items frequently and maintains a high standard of living. His expenses increase with his income. The other individual keeps his lifestyle stable. He saves a portion of his income and invests consistently. He avoids unnecessary expenses. After several years, the first individual feels trapped. He cannot leave his job because his expenses are too high. He depends completely on his monthly income. The second individual reaches a different position. His savings and investments begin to cover a part of his expenses. He gains the flexibility to make choices. He can change jobs, start a business, or take a break if needed. The difference is not income. The difference is how money was used. One chose comfort, the other chose freedom. In the end, freedom becomes the greatest return on money because it gives you control over your life. And that is something no luxury item can replace. Chapter 5: Risk is what you do not understand. Most people believe that risk means losing money quickly. They imagine risk as something visible and dramatic, a sudden loss, a failed investment, or a business collapse. But real risk is often silent. It grows slowly and becomes dangerous when it is ignored. Risk is not just about what happens. It is about what you do not understand. This is one of the most important differences between how the rich think and how others think. The rich do not try to avoid all risks. That is impossible. Instead, they focus on understanding the risks they take. They study, they observe, they ask questions. They take time before making decisions. This does not make them perfect, but it makes them more prepared. Most financial mistakes happen when people act without understanding. They follow trends, they copy others, they invest based on emotions or excitement. They believe that if others are making money, they should also join, but they do not ask how it works. They do not ask what can go wrong. They do not ask what they might lose. This lack of understanding creates hidden risk. At first, everything may look successful. Returns may come quickly, confidence increases. But when conditions change, reality appears, losses happen, panic begins, and by then it is often too late. The rich approach this differently. They accept that every decision involves some level of uncertainty, but they reduce uncertainty through knowledge. They invest in things they understand. They avoid opportunities that seem too complex or unclear. They are comfortable saying no. This ability to say no is powerful, because not every opportunity is worth taking. In fact, many opportunities that look attractive are dangerous, especially those that promise quick gains with little effort. The rich are cautious of such promises. They understand that high returns usually come with high risk, and if the risk is not clear, then it is even more dangerous. Another important aspect of risk is long-term thinking. Short-term thinking increases risk. When people focus only on immediate results, they make emotional decisions. They react to every small change. They move in and out of investments frequently. This behavior creates instability. Long-term thinking reduces risk. When you focus on the bigger picture, temporary changes become less important. You give your decisions time to work. You avoid unnecessary reactions. The rich think in long time frames. They do not expect instant success. They prepare for uncertainty. They build margins of safety. A margin of safety means having a buffer, savings, diversification, avoiding excessive debt. These factors protect against unexpected situations, because no matter how careful you are, uncertainty always exists. Another hidden risk is overconfidence. When people experience success, they begin to believe they cannot fail. They take bigger risks. They ignore warning signs. They stop learning. This creates vulnerability. The rich try to stay humble. They know that success can change. They know that markets can shift. They know that unexpected events can happen. This awareness keeps them cautious. It keeps them prepared. It keeps them grounded. Understanding risk also means accepting that losses are part of the journey. No one avoids losses completely. The goal is not to eliminate risk. The goal is to manage it, to make sure that one mistake does not destroy everything, to ensure that you can recover and continue. This mindset creates resilience. And resilience is more valuable than perfection. Example: a person hears about an investment opportunity that promises high returns in a short time. Many people around him are investing and making quick profits without understanding the details. He decides to invest a large portion of his savings. At first, everything seems successful. He sees positive returns and feels confident. But suddenly, the investment fails. He loses most of his money. He realizes he never truly understood what he was investing in. Another person hears about the same opportunity. Instead of rushing, he takes time to study it. He asks questions and tries to understand the risks involved. When he realizes that the structure is unclear and risky, he decides not to invest. He may miss out on short-term gains, but he protects his capital. In the long run, this decision proves valuable, because preserving money is more important than chasing uncertain profits. The difference is not luck. The difference is understanding. Risk is not always visible, but its consequences are always real. If you learn to recognize what you do not understand and have the discipline to step back, you will avoid many costly mistakes, because in the world of money, what you do not know can hurt you, and what you take the time to understand can protect you. Chapter 6, Getting Rich versus Staying Rich. Many people focus on how to get rich. Very few think about how to stay rich. This difference is one of the most important lessons in the psychology of money. Getting rich often requires taking action, taking risks, being bold, seizing opportunities. But staying rich requires something completely different. Requires discipline, patience, caution, and strong control over behavior. These two phases demand different mindsets, and this is where many people fail. They succeed in making money, but they fail in keeping it there. Are countless examples of individuals who earned large amounts of money through business careers or sudden opportunities. Over time, they lost everything. not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked the mindset required to preserve wealth. Rich understand that building wealth is only the first step. Protecting it is equally important, and sometimes even more difficult, because success can create overconfidence. People experience financial growth. They begin to believe that they have mastered money. They take bigger risks. They become less cautious. They increase their lifestyle significantly. This creates vulnerability. The same behavior that helped them grow wealth may not help them keep it. Staying rich is not about repeating the same risks. It is about managing what you have already built. One of the key principles of staying rich is avoiding unnecessary risks. The rich do not put everything on the line for more gains. They understand that once you have enough, the goal shifts from growth to preservation. They ask a different question: how much more can I gain, but how much can I protect? This mindset reduces the chances of major losses. Another important factor is humility. Money can create a false sense of control. People begin to believe that success is entirely due to their own skill. Ignore the role of luck, timing, external factors. This leads to poor decisions. The rich who stay rich remain humble. They recognize that things can change. They respect uncertainty. They prepare for situations where things may not go as expected. This humility keeps them careful. It prevents reckless behavior. It encourages continuous learning. Another essential idea is having enough. Many people never define what enough means. Continue chasing more without limits. This endless pursuit can lead to unnecessary risks, because the desire for more never stops. Rich who maintain their wealth understand the value of enough. They set boundaries. They know when to stop taking excessive risks. They focus on stability and long-term security. This creates balance, because wealth without control can disappear quickly. Another important concept is avoiding lifestyle traps. As wealth increases, it becomes easy to increase spending. Luxury becomes normal. Simple things feel insufficient. This creates pressure to maintain a high level of spending, which in turn requires continuous income. This reduces financial freedom. Rich who stay rich manage their lifestyle carefully. They may enjoy their wealth, but they do not allow their expenses to control them. They keep a margin of safety: savings, investments, emergency funds. These act as protection, because life is unpredictable. Unexpected events can occur. Having a buffer allows you to handle challenges without losing stability. Consistency also plays a role. Staying rich is not about making one perfect decision. It is about making many good decisions over time, avoiding big mistakes, remaining disciplined, maintaining balance. This steady approach protects wealth. Another key factor is emotional control. Large amounts of money can increase emotional pressure: fear of losing, desire for more, comparison with others. These emotions can influence decisions. Rich who maintain their wealth learn to manage these emotions. They stay calm. They avoid impulsive actions. They focus on long-term goals. They understand that preserving wealth requires a stable mindset. Example: a businessman builds a successful company and earns a large amount of money. He feels confident and decides to invest aggressively in multiple high-risk ventures. At first, some investments perform well. This increases his confidence. He begins to take even bigger risks, ignoring potential dangers. Eventually, one major investment fails. It affects his financial position significantly. Realizes that he focused only on growth, not on protection. Another businessman builds wealth gradually. After achieving financial success, he shifts his focus. He reduces risk, diversifies his investments, maintains a strong financial buffer. He continues to grow his wealth slowly, but more importantly, he protects it over time. His financial position remains stable. Difference is not in how they earned money. The difference is in how they managed it. Afterward, getting rich requires effort and opportunity. Staying rich requires wisdom and discipline. If you can learn both, you can build wealth that lasts. Because true success is not just about reaching the top. It is about staying there without falling back. Chapter 7: Your personal history shapes your money decisions. Every person has a unique relationship with money. This relationship is not created overnight. It is shaped over years through experiences, environment, and upbringing. The way you think about money today is deeply influenced by your past. The rich understand this idea. They recognize that people make financial decisions based on what they have lived through, not just on logic or facts. 2. People can see the same opportunity. One sees growth and possibility. The other sees danger and risk. The difference is not the opportunity. The difference is their personal history. If someone grows up in a family where money is always scarce, they may develop a mindset of fear. They may become extremely cautious, avoiding risks even when opportunities are good. Or they may swing in the opposite direction, spending freely when money becomes available because they never had it before. If someone grows up in a financially stable environment, they may feel more comfortable taking risks. They may believe that money can always be earned again. Both perspectives are shaped by experience, not necessarily by truth. This is why financial advice does not work the same for everyone. What feels safe to one person may feel dangerous to another. What feels normal to one person may feel impossible to another. The rich who succeed in the long term become aware of their own biases. They understand that their past can influence their present decisions. This awareness allows them to question their instincts instead of reacting automatically. They pause and think. They ask themselves whether their decision is based on facts or based on fear or habit. This self-awareness is powerful because without it, people repeat the same patterns. They make decisions that feel comfortable but are not always beneficial. Another important aspect is comparison. People often compare their financial situation with others, but this comparison is unfair because everyone has a different background, different opportunities, different experiences. The rich avoid unhealthy comparison. They focus on their own journey. They understand that success looks different for different people. They set personal goals based on their own situation. This reduces pressure. It allows them to make better decisions. Another key idea is adaptability. While your past shapes you, it does not define your future. You can learn, you can change, you can improve your financial behavior. The rich believe in this possibility. They do not remain limited by their past experiences. They use those experiences as lessons. They build new habits. They create new patterns. This ability to adapt is essential because the world of money is constantly changing. Opportunities evolve, risks change, situations shift. Being flexible allows you to respond effectively. Another factor is emotional attachment. Money is not just a tool. It is often connected to feelings, security, status, freedom, fear. These emotions influence decisions. Someone who associates money with security may prioritize saving. Someone who associates money with status may prioritize spending. Neither approach is entirely right or wrong, but understanding your emotional connection helps you make balanced decisions. Rich pay attention to these emotional patterns. They try to maintain balance. They do not allow emotions to completely control their actions. They combine awareness with discipline. This creates stability. Another important concept is learning from others. While personal experience is powerful, it can also be limited. The rich learn not only from their own experiences, but also from the experiences of others. They observe, they read, they listen. This expands their understanding, helps them avoid mistakes they have not personally faced. It gives them a broader perspective, because relying only on personal history can limit growth. Example: 2 individuals grow up in different environments. One grows up in a household where money is always tight. He sees financial struggles regularly. As he grows older, he becomes very cautious. He avoids investing because he fears losing money. He keeps most of his savings unused. The other individual grows up in a financially stable environment. He sees his family invest and take calculated risks. He becomes comfortable with investing. He understands that short-term losses are part of long-term growth. When both individuals start earning, They face the same financial opportunities, but their decisions are different. The first avoids risk completely. The second takes calculated steps over time. The second individual builds wealth through consistent investing. The first remains financially safe, but does not experience significant growth. The difference is not intelligence. It is perspective shaped by personal history. Understanding this allows you to improve, because once you recognize how your past influences you, you can begin to make more intentional choices. You can keep what is useful and change what is limiting. This is how financial growth begins from within, because money decisions are not just about the present, they are deeply connected to the past, and awareness of that connection creates the power to change the future chapter. 8. The power of patience and consistency. Most people want success quickly. They want fast results. Fast money, fast growth. They believe that if something takes too long, it is not worth doing. This mindset becomes one of the biggest obstacles in building wealth, because real financial success does not happen instantly. It is built slowly through patience and consistency. The rich understand this deeply. They do not rush the process. They do not expect immediate rewards. They focus on steady progress over long periods. Patience is not simply waiting. It is the ability to stay committed without losing focus. It is continuing to do the right thing, even when results are not visible. This is difficult, because in the early stages, progress feels slow. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening. This is where most people quit. They lose motivation. They change strategies. They chase something new. This constant shifting destroys consistency, and without consistency, there is no long-term growth. Consistency is the repeated application of simple actions: saving regularly, investing regularly, controlling expenses regularly. These actions may seem small, but over time, they create powerful results. The rich do not rely on one big decision. They rely on many small disciplined actions. They understand that success is not about perfection. It is about repetition. Another important idea is that progress is not always visible. In the beginning, effort feels disconnected from results. You work, you save, you invest, but nothing dramatic changes. This creates doubt. People begin to question whether their efforts are working, but what they do not see is the silent growth happening in the background. Money is slowly increasing. Habits are becoming stronger. Discipline is becoming natural. Over time, these invisible changes become visible results, but only if you stay consistent. The rich trust this process. Do not depend on motivation, because motivation is temporary. It comes and goes. Instead, they build systems that make consistency easier: automatic saving, planned investing, controlled spending. These systems reduce the need for constant decision-making. They create stability. Another key factor is avoiding extremes. Some people save aggressively for a short time and then stop. Others invest heavily for a while and then lose interest. This creates inconsistency. The rich avoid extreme behavior. They choose balance. They find a pace they can maintain for years, because long-term success depends on sustainability. It is better to move slowly and continuously than to move fast and stop. Patience also helps in handling setbacks. There will be times when progress slows. There will be periods of loss or difficulty. Impatience leads to panic. Panic leads to poor decisions. Patience creates calm. It allows you to stay focused. It helps you continue even when conditions are not perfect. Another important aspect is discipline. Discipline means doing what is necessary, even when it is not exciting. Saving when you feel like spending, investing when you feel uncertain, staying committed when you feel distracted. This is not easy, but it is essential. The rich develop this discipline over time. They do not rely on emotions. They rely on habits. Habits reduce effort. Once a behavior becomes a habit, it requires less mental energy. This makes consistency easier. Another concept is long-term vision. When you focus only on the present, patience becomes difficult. But when you have a clear long-term goal, it becomes easier to stay committed. The rich keep their focus on the future. They understand that current actions shape future outcomes. This perspective strengthens patience. Example 2. Individuals decide to improve their financial situation. 1. Start saving and investing with enthusiasm. He is highly motivated. In the beginning, he saves a large portion of his income for a few months, but soon he feels restricted. He becomes tired of the discipline. He stops saving and returns to old habits. The second individual takes a different approach. He starts with a small amount. He saves and invests consistently. Every month the amount is not large, but he never stops. Years pass. First individual has moments of effort, but no lasting progress. The second individual builds steady growth. His savings increase. His investments grow. His financial stability improves. The difference is not effort. The difference is consistency. Patience and consistency may seem simple, but they are rare. Because they are rare, they create powerful advantages if you can master these qualities. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need complex strategies. You need discipline over time. Because in the world of money, slow and steady does not just win it, build something that lasts. Chapter 9. Why rich people think in systems, not income. Most people think about money in a very simple way. They think in terms of income, how much they earn per month, how much salary they receive, how much profit they make from a job or business. This creates a limited mindset because income alone does not create lasting wealth. The rich think differently. They think in systems. A system is something that continues to produce results even when they are not actively working every moment. It is a structure that supports long-term growth. This is one of the biggest psychological differences between the rich and everyone else. People who focus only on income are always dependent on effort. They stop working, money stops coming. If they slow down, income decreases. This creates pressure and instability. People who build systems create independence. Their money continues to grow through investments, businesses, assets, and long-term structures. Even when they are not directly involved every moment, this shift from income thinking to system thinking changes everything. The rich do not ask, how much can I earn this month? They ask, what can I build that will continue to earn for me? This is a completely different mindset. Systems can take many forms: investments that generate returns, businesses that operate with processes, skills that create long-term opportunities, assets that increase in value over time. The key idea is sustainability. A system is not dependent on constant manual effort. It works through structure, consistency, and design. Another important aspect of systems is leverage. Leverage means using something once and getting repeated benefits. Money is a form of leverage. Time is a form of leverage. Knowledge is a form of leverage. Technology is a form of leverage. The rich use leverage to multiply their efforts instead of working harder. Every time they focus on creating mechanisms that work repeatedly, this allows them to scale their results. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trading time directly for money. This limits growth because time is finite. There are only so many hours in a day. If income depends only on time, then income is also limited. But systems break this limitation. They allow income to grow beyond personal effort. This is how wealth becomes scalable. Another important concept is separation from active involvement. Many people believe they must always be involved to earn money. But the rich aim to reduce dependency on constant involvement. They create systems that can operate with structure and support. This does not mean absence of effort. It means smart allocation of effort to build something once and refine it over time, instead of restarting from zero repeatedly. This approach creates long-term stability. Systems also reduce emotional decision-making. When you rely only on income, you often make decisions based on pressure. You accept jobs you do not want. You make rushed financial choices. You depend on short-term thinking, but systems create space. They reduce pressure. They allow better planning. They support long-term thinking. Another advantage of systems is predictability. While nothing in life is completely predictable, systems provide a level of stability. They allow you to estimate outcomes. They help you plan ahead. They reduce uncertainty. This creates confidence that your financial future is not entirely dependent on one source. The rich often diversify their systems. Do not rely on a single income stream. They build multiple sources of growth. This diversification protects them from failure in any one area. It also increases overall stability. Another key idea is scalability. A system can grow beyond personal limits. Income based on effort has a ceiling, but systems can expand. They can reach more people, operate in more places, generate more value over time. This is why businesses, investments, and scalable models are powerful. They are not limited by physical effort alone. They grow through structure and expansion. Example: two individuals start working in similar fields. The first focuses only on monthly income. He works hard every day. He earns based on hours and effort. If he stops working, his income stops. Second individual focuses on building a system. He develops a skill that can be taught or replicated. He creates a small business that can run with processes. He reinvests his earnings into assets that generate returns. In the beginning, the first individual earns faster income. He feels more stable, but over time, the second individual builds multiple income sources. His earnings become less dependent on daily effort. He gains flexibility and stability. The first remains dependent on continuous work. The second builds financial independence. The difference is mindset: one focused on income, the other focused on systems. In the long run, systems create freedom because they allow money to grow even when you are not actively working every moment. And that is the true foundation of lasting wealth. Chapter 10: The Trap of Comparison and the Illusion of Success. One of the most dangerous habits in money psychology is comparison. People constantly measure their success against others: friends, neighbors, coworkers, social media personalities. This habit quietly shapes financial decisions more than most people realize, and often not in a good way. Comparison creates pressure. Pressure creates emotional decisions. Emotional decisions create financial mistakes. The rich understand this clearly. They avoid measuring their progress against others. They focus on their own journey because wealth is not a competition. It is a personal path. Two people can be in completely different financial situations, even if they started at the same point. Because life does not give identical conditions to everyone. Different families, different opportunities, different risks, different timing. Yet comparison ignores all of this. It only shows surface-level outcomes. This is where illusion begins. In the modern world, especially with social media, people only see highlights of others' lives: luxury cars, beautiful homes, expensive vacations, perfect lifestyles. But they do not see the reality behind it: debt, financial pressure, hidden stress, unstable income, unsustainable spending. This creates a false image of success. People begin to believe that others are doing better than they actually are, and then they try to copy that lifestyle, even when they cannot afford it. This leads to financial imbalance. The rich avoid this trap by focusing on reality, not appearance. They understand that looking successful is not the same as being financially strong. Real success is measured by stability, not visibility. Another problem with comparison is that it changes goals. Instead of asking, "What do I need for my life?" people start asking, "What do others have that I do not?" This shifts focus away from personal needs and towards external validation. It becomes a cycle of chasing instead of building. The rich break this cycle. They define their own version of success. They decide what enough means for them. They focus on long-term stability rather than short-term image. This creates clarity. Clarity leads to better decisions. Another important concept is silent wealth. Many financially strong people do not display their wealth openly, prefer privacy over attention. They understand that true financial strength does not need to be proven. It is already reflected in security and freedom. On the other hand, visible wealth is often misunderstood. A person may look rich, but be financially weak due to loans and expenses. Another person may look ordinary, but be financially strong due to savings and investments. This difference is invisible to comparison-based thinking. Comparison also leads to unnecessary upgrades in lifestyle. People increase spending, not because they need to, but because others have more. This is called lifestyle inflation. Driven by social pressure, it reduces savings, it increases financial stress, it limits long-term growth. Rich consciously avoid this pattern. They increase lifestyle only when it aligns with their financial stability, not external pressure. They prioritize independence over appearance. Another important idea is emotional satisfaction. Comparison rarely leads to happiness. Even when people achieve what others have, they quickly move on to the next target. There is always someone with more. This creates endless dissatisfaction. The rich understand that happiness does not come from comparison. It comes from control and progress. Progress measured against your own past, not someone else's present. Example 2. Individuals start their careers at the same time. One constantly compares himself with others. He sees friends buying cars and homes. He feels behind. To match them, he takes loans and increases spending. His financial pressure grows over time. The other individual focuses on his own growth. He saves consistently. He avoids unnecessary lifestyle upgrades. He invests steadily over time. Years later, the first individual looks successful from outside but struggles financially. The second individual has built savings, investments, and stability. The first lived by comparison. The second lived by direction. Comparison creates confusion. It makes people chase illusions instead of reality. But when you remove comparison, you gain clarity. And with clarity, you make better financial decisions, because in the end, your financial journey is not about being ahead of others. It is about being in control of your own life. Conclusion: the real psychology of money. Money is not just a tool for survival or luxury. It is a reflection of human behavior, thinking, and emotions throughout this journey. One truth remains constant: financial success is less about how much you know and more about how you behave. The rich are not always the smartest in the room, but they are often the most disciplined, the most patient, and the most aware of their decisions. They understand something very important: money grows slowly, but it also disappears quickly when behavior is uncontrolled. This is why psychology matters more than formulas. Fear, greed, impatience, and comparison destroy more wealth than lack of opportunity ever will. On the other hand, patience, consistency, and emotional control build wealth even from small beginnings. The rich think differently because they focus on long-term outcomes instead of short-term emotions. They do not chase appearances. They build reality. They do not focus on showing wealth. They focus on creating it. They do not rely only on income. They build systems that support financial independence. They understand that time is their greatest ally when used wisely, and their greatest enemy when wasted. They also accept a powerful truth: wealth is not just about earning more money. It is about keeping it, growing it, and protecting it. Many people reach financial success, but lose it because they never learned how to manage behavior after success. True mastery of money is not in making it once. It is in maintaining it over a lifetime. Another important lesson is that personal history shapes financial thinking, but it does not have to define the future. Awareness allows change. Discipline creates transformation. Consistency builds results. Every person has the ability to improve their financial life, regardless of their starting point. But it requires honesty with oneself. It requires recognizing emotional patterns that influence decisions and replacing impulsive reactions with thoughtful actions. In the end, money is deeply human. It is connected to identity, security, freedom, and self-worth. That is why managing money is not only a financial skill, it is a life skill. If you understand your behavior, if you control your emotions, if you stay patient and consistent, you will naturally move toward financial stability, not through shortcuts, but through steady progress, not through luck, but through discipline, not through comparison, but through clarity. The real secret of money is simple. Those who learn to control themselves with money eventually gain control over their financial future. And that is the true meaning of wealth, not just having money, but having freedom, peace, and control over your life. The end.